G'day, folks. My name is Rob, and welcome back for another F1 Fantasy Deadline stream. I hope you're doing well. I hope everyone has had a great summer break. I sure have. First deadline stream in a few weeks. Good to be back. Lots to get through in the next 2 hours, and very much looking forward to seeing where I land on my team for this weekend. Lots of interesting things to unpack in free practice. So, yeah, it's going to be a good couple of hours. I think a couple of discussion topics around second constructor, potential chip usage, all of those back market conundrums. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun stream. So as always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please do subscribe, throw a like on the video. It helps the channel immensely. It's all I'll ask. It is free, and yeah, if you want to see more F1 Fantasy content for the rest of the year and into the years following, you know where to find the best for it. So yeah, great to see some folks in the chat already. We've got a few viewers already. Tiamote, Tommy, Isaac, good to see you, my friend. Rebecca, thank you for dropping through. Michael, always a great time to have you. Tommy, again, and then and Dan. Yeah, it's going to be a good couple of hours, lots to talk about. And I think I've got a decision on my hands for this weekend, for sure. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like it's probably going to be, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw my tweet, a bit of a crapshoot with picking that second constructor to pair with McLaren. Ali, thank you for dropping through. Simon, thank you for joining from Denmark. I think let's get straight into it. I know there'll be a few stragglers, a few people coming in later in the stream. It's very early here, 7 a.m. in the morning where I am. So yeah, I'm just waking up. I'm a bit sick as well. So apologies if I do cough throughout the stream. I'll do my best to keep the vocal cords moistened with a bit of water on hand. But I've been fighting an illness all week. So I'm trying to rally for you guys this morning. And yeah, here we go again indeed. It's it's going to be an interesting couple hours. Kuka, thank you for dropping through. Gabrielle, great to have you as well, my friend. This is the team currently. We've got, I guess, 3 sessions worth of data to unpack. We've got potential weather concerns, maybe an autopilot, budget. The shift for the 4A, is it this weekend? Is it next? So yeah, good. I think we're going to need the full 2 hours, put it that way. But what you've got here on screen at the moment is my team from Hungary. I don't know if there's a lot to do. I think Behrman's the definite first transfer for my team this week. And I think beyond that, maybe Ferrari, perhaps Hülkenberg. Really depends how good Aston Martin is, how good I believe they can be if I run both Stroll and Alonso, or if I go all in on the Aston Martin constructor as well. So yeah, I think we've got a few decisions. Let's start with free practice. I feel like that's usually the easiest way to kick things off. And would you believe the One Fantasy Mid-Season Masters Mini League is the pop-up on the webpage? I am definitely entering a team. Will I win the £2,000? Absolutely not. But I think it's worth a little fun punt if you want to be a bit adventurous with a limitless on your team 3 or go a differential this weekend. Maybe a 2x could be a Russell, maybe, if you want to really be different. Okay, let's get rid of that. So, yeah. A couple of joiners. Excuse me. If you just joined, you'll know I'm going to cough a little bit this stream. So apologies in advance. Count, great to have you back, my friend. Great to have you back. Isaac has, I'm assuming, 119 million in budget, not 199. Otherwise, that's a limitless team every weekend. But the Norris, Piastri, Alonso, McLaren, Aston Martin, I rate very highly. I rate the Aston Martin, which we'll talk about in just a little while. Signor's asking if I can afford Norris and Piastri. Is it worth using the 3x and 2x on them this weekend, or should I save the 3x for a sprint? Definitely for a sprint. I think the good thing is that Williams and Aston Martin are both becoming, they've surprised us a little bit this weekend so far. So I wonder if we really feel confident in the 3x, 2x on Oscar and Lando on a sprint race, then maybe we just hope that Williams and Aston Martin dial it in for a Coda or for a Qatar. And then you don't even have to worry about putting the 2x on like a Russell or a Kimi Antonelli. Ideally, yeah, we'd pair it with 3x, but I wouldn't be using it on a non-sprint weekend. The most upside to gain from a 3x Senor Denier is if we were to use it on a sprint weekend to maximize that extra scoring session. Anything of concern going into FP3? I mean, yeah. I mean, there's concerns. Let's go through FP1 and FP2 first, and I can get to FP3. So I think yesterday was interesting because Aston Martin really surprised a lot of us. 3 and 4 for Stroll and Alonso, half a second off McLaren, which I think are going to be the team to beat by a long shot. If they're not, again, 1-2. I'm so confident that either Lando Norris will come away with the fastest lap this weekend. So another reason to really consider going the triple McLaren route in Zandvoort. Williams, both impressed in FP1, both drivers inside the top 8. Max doing enough at home, but Ferrari, I think, worryingly, were nowhere close to the top 10. Yes, it's FP1. Take it with a pinch of salt. But the problem is, you fast forward to the second practice session yesterday, and yes, Lewis and Charles had, made some progress up the leaderboard, but to see them still, 6th and 8th, probably where you expect them to be on true pace. Mercedes are definitely ahead of them. Max as well. There was concerns around the plank wear, so they've changed their setup. They just don't seem high on confidence. And then in terms of F1 fantasy, there are concerns around their pit stops, which has kind of been where they've hung their hat on all season. So I wonder if the star for Ferrari is fading right now. Seems like a good jumping off point this weekend. So yeah, I'm not wholly convinced by them. I would have loved to have seen more today. And even if I did, I probably would be swayed to move away from them. They're very highly owned by engaged managers, so I think it's certainly an option to be a little different, all things considered. So yeah, it's Aston Martin, Alonso. So Stroll, you guys probably know if you saw the highlights or watched the second session, you crashed into the wall where Ricciardo broke his wrist a couple of years ago. He was, at the time he crashed, I think around 6th in FP2. And then again, Aston Martin had some run-ins in FP3. So I don't really know if we saw Stroll's true pace across the last 2 sessions of the weekend. I fully expect when he puts a lap together, he's probably around 8th this weekend, 7th or 8th in terms of true pace over a single lap. So, and Alonso, I think, is definitely 4th or 5th over a single lap. So I think there's a lot of momentum riding with Aston Martin right now. And I can see why there's a groundswell from the community to potentially pivot towards them. And if we go to FP3, I'm going to try and answer questions at the same time as going through the timing charts. But Alonso and Stroll, just outside the top 10, a little bit of a regression, fascinatingly replaced by Sainz and Albon. Now, I don't know for me if this is the right weekend for Williams. They look great. I think it's a great sign. Val said that they're typically quite good around this track as well. And so keep an eye on Carlos Sainz. He's at a $5.9 million price, very attainable for a lot of us. I don't know if it's right for me this weekend. I don't know if the constructor yet feels like an obvious buy, but I think if you want a piece of the Williams pie, then Carlos Sainz is at a great price. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up in value this weekend. So yeah, to answer your question, Count, anything of concern going to FP3? I don't think we saw the true pace of Aston Martin, to be completely honest. I think they're much closer to, 4th on the grid in terms of pace compared to the front runners. I'd say they're arguably right there with Red Bull, Ferrari, maybe half a step off, if that. I think they're certainly ahead of Williams, despite what the timing charts show. And if you watched FP3, I caught the last 20-30 minutes of it. Alonso was on for a pretty good lap, which I think would have put him around 5th or 6th, with about 10 minutes to go, and then got impeded by George Russell. So he had to abort the lap at the kind of the last turn or just before the finish line. And then Stroll was also going for a final push lap with about a minute to go. And then I think it was Sonoda or Antonelli he got caught up with at the start. So I truly think Stroll and Alonso are probably closer to FP3 times of around 6th, 5th, 6th. So, yeah, I think that's kind of, I wouldn't say a concern, but it's certainly something to think about, kind of where Aston Martin's true pace is. And I definitely think this is a circuit suited to their car. We look at Hungary as well. Aston Martin were great around there. Another kind of slower speed circuit. Zandvoort is not exactly high powered like what we've got in Monza. I think we're going to have to spend a good 20, 30 minutes talking about Aston Martin this week and versus Aston Martin next week. But there's certainly options to very much evaluate for fantasy for that second constructor slot. So back to the chat. See what else is happening. Hang on. Oh no, what did I do? Sorry, I just pressed the wrong damn button. Yeah. Oh no, Robert, that's what happens when you tinker with your stream elements midstream. This is what happens. I guess I'm also just a dinosaur. Alrighty. So what have we got in the chat? No, let's turn that off. How did I do this last time? Anyway. All right. So I'm going to have to play the old manual way of doing this. Hang on. Let me try this. So I want to be able to just manage the stream elements. Yeah, Rob, I mean, trust me, I am I am not good for there we go. Okay, I got it all sorted. Sorry, I'm all over the shop this morning. So what happens when you have about 5 hours of sleep, you're fighting an illness and you're doing your first stream in 5 weeks. All right, so let's see what we got in the chat. Anything? Yeah, I think I've answered that concern. Count. My fear is Aston Martin won't have top 3 race pace. You're right. I don't think they have top 3 race pace either. I do think, however, there is. I suppose yes, you're right. I understand if people have concerns about Aston Martin. I don't think they're an absolute buy, and there's a number of reasons for that. What I think is in favor of them is that it's not necessarily the highest overtaking track, so you give Alonso and Stroll a good lap of qualifying. I still think they can contend for, 5th, 6th, 7th. So potentially gamble. If you're risk averse, you want to kind of play it safe, then I think Mercedes is probably the next best constructor. Squirtle's conflicted about whether he or she wants to bring in Albon to replace Hulk, given Williams are expected to do well for the next few races and Hulkenberg is due a DNF soon. Yeah, I mean, Hulkenberg's definitely overdue a DNF, but maybe that's why I ditch him this weekend. Who are you playing on T2? Great question, William. I haven't even locked in my Team 2 yet because I know that's the one that always does better than my Team 1. So we'll do all 3 transfers. I'll probably hedge. Like my Team 1 will probably have, let's call it Aston Martin, and then Team 2 might have Mercedes, something like that. I don't think I'll do Aston Martin on all 3 teams. Sarwar's gone triple McLaren. I don't even care if it goes wrong. Go with my gut and psychologically prepared for it, I think. That's the thing, though. Like, you make peace with the decision you make, and no matter what the outcome is. Like, yes, you can be a hindsight merchant, but I found this season my decision-making has been better because I've been more confident in what my decision has been heading into the deadline versus getting here on a stream and then being influenced by you guys, which I don't think is a bad thing. That's the beauty of the community. But at the same time, it is something that, can certainly throw plans into disarray. So, yeah. I think, definitely 2x Norris if we're going triple McLaren, 100%. By Mercedes, I definitely mean Russell. But yeah, sticking in Aston, I think I still like Aston Martin for sure. Yeah, and there's definitely an argument. Let's. I'm gonna get through a few questions in the chat quickly, and then we can. I'll throw up the team calculator to get a read of the best teams, and hate having to do this. I'll throw up the team calculator so you guys can see. Oh, I got to do the old 2FA on stream. Talk about a absolute mess of a first stream back. Bear with me for 1 minute. I'm only doing this so you can see my my team versus the optimal teams. Excuse me. Alrighty. So, team one, my team one is what's up here, as if you guys know how this tool works, and then the optimal teams are what follows. So I'm going to leave that up here, go through some questions in the chat, and then we can talk about Aston Martin over the next couple of weeks. Alex is stuck between Ferrari and Sainz or Mercedes and Hulk or Aston and Russell. Currently have McLaren, Piastri, Alonso, Lawson, Bortoleto. I definitely think for me this weekend, it's probably Mercedes, Hulk or Aston, Russell. If you're going Mercedes, then maybe I'd gamble on Stroll over Hulk because you don't have the Aston Martin constructor. But if you want to go the Aston Martin constructor, then you've got Russell. I think it's not a bad shout to go with 2 Aston Martin assets this weekend. But at the very least, I feel Alonso's a buy. What are we saying? Ferrari or Aston Martin? Right now, I'm on Aston Martin because I just think, and a good point was made on the Discord in F1 Fantasy Tools. It's like where every other constructor is such a guessing game. Like the sure thing this weekend is McLaren. So where there's ambiguity, why don't we just triple up on McLaren? And I think that's a really good point. Also, Norris is looking great. I think he'll get fastest lap. He won here last year. I feel like this is a great opportunity to go towards that triple McLaren build. We are so back. Alrighty. Aston over Mercedes, I think so. Sorry, Rebecca, I missed your question in the chat. I'm bouncing around here. Prenzel asks, do we expect many overtakes this year? Probably a few. If there's rain, definitely. But I think the 70 here last year, it's not a small number. Definitely a punt on Sainz, mate. Yeah, 100%. I don't know if the constructor, like looking at the price of the Williams constructor, let's just move this up. So Aston Martin's 11. I think they're definitely underestimated in the Sims, Williams. But I can't really do the triple Aston Martin build. The triple McLaren build with Williams. It has to be Aston Martin for me. So it kind of eliminates that from the equation because of the fact it costs a few dollars more. Excuse me. So basically the whole grid are trying to stop the GOAT that is Lance Stroll. Yeah, even Lance himself. Correct. So I've got a bit of catching up to do. I'm going to race through these. Aston over Mercedes right now for me, yes, for my team. What do you think about autopilot? I think because the weather forecast is now 20% of rain, we'll talk about the weather in a little bit too. I'm less inclined to use the chip. If it was, and I also think it rains on Sunday, but not during the race. We'll look at that in a second, but I'm not on autopilot quite as highly now as I probably was earlier in the week. For the mini league with Limitless, is Red Bull an option instead of Mercedes or Ferrari? I'd probably go Mercedes. Red Bull's an option, but I don't think they've done enough to inspire me in practice. Ali feels better about Aston knowing that I can do next week with a wildcard. That's the same reason, Ali. Exactly right. I think that's, if you don't have a wildcard and you're taking -10s this week, great point there, Ali. I think if you've got a wildcard handy and you don't have to take -10s this week, going for Aston Martin this week feels like a very informed and well-positioned, I wouldn't even call it a gamble. I just say it's a good move. But if you're taking hits to get in, say, an Aston Martin or a Norris, and keep in mind Aston Martin, as I said before, are probably better around these slower speed circuits, and we're going to a high-speed circuit in Monza next week, followed by Baku the week after, or the race after. There's probably an argument around whether or not taking hits is worth it. And I'll just actually, now that I mention it, I'll throw up some notes for this weekend that I had written down before. I'll let you guys read them through in your own time, but while I talk about the chat, but I do think it's probably some considerations to be made around transfers and such. But yeah, you can make a point for autopilot for sure. I'm not sure I will yet, but definitely. Triple McLaren autopilot is one idea I have, but means McLaren and Sauber. I think Sauber's fine. If you feel confident enough that McLaren will run away with it, which it seems very likely they will, then I would probably, yeah, I think Sauber's a fine replacement over Aston Martin. Definitely not as strong, but still adequate. Miha's asking, I don't have the budget for Alonso and Stroll, but I already have Stroll. Is switching from Stroll to Alonso worth a -10? Probably not at this stage, Miha. I just don't see merit really in the transfer hits for midfield drivers. Simon wants to go triple McLaren with Stroll, Lawson and Bortoleto without taking minus points. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. Tommy's struggling to bin Ferrari, though. He feels like they've been terrible before in practice, but then Leclerc brings it in quali and Ham will at least beat Antonelli. I suppose so. The thing with Ferrari, generally speaking, this weekend is that they've changed the car setup for the plank wear, or at least that's what I read. Not sure how much truth there is to that. I just don't know if I've seen enough in the last couple of weeks to be confident that they're contending for a podium. Charles... I'm so sorry with this sickness I'm fighting. Charles got lucky with pole. Maybe not lucky is the right word, but he did well in Hungary to get pole position. But I don't see him coming anywhere close to that this weekend. Not the way McLaren looks. So, I think the Ferrari ceiling is probably about 4th, 5th for their best driver. And then, Hamilton will be in the points too, I'm sure. But his qualifying performances recently aren't exactly encouraging. So, any insider information if there'll be any second half mini leagues, or should I blow the chip on the one race mini league? To my knowledge, there isn't a second half of the season mini league. There's nothing confirmed, but from what I've been told, from what I understand, doesn't seem like it. So yeah, just something to think about. I'm not a million miles off triple McLaren. Are you feeling any better, mate? Still under the weather? I'm definitely under the weather, Andre. Definitely still under the weather. But I'll come on a stream on Saturday for you guys. Don't you worry. Ferrari, Mercedes this weekend. Would you recommend using Limitless? No, not this weekend. There's not a clearly defined second team. Tommy has an alternative idea, which is Piastri, Bortoleto, Lawson, Sainz, Alonso, and McLaren, Ferrari. Otherwise, it's Piastri, Russell, Bortoleto, Lawson, Alonso, McLaren, Aston. I like both. I just don't think Ferrari are dialed in enough. And with their high ownership, it feels, as I said before, probably a great chance to pivot away. But I think Ferrari will be better next week in Monza. And then I guess that's the overarching question with transfers this week. And as I've got on screen here, if you're ripping up your team for not even -10s, but just keep in mind, you might have to take transfer hits in the coming weeks. Sorry. If you're going from Aston Martin this week, better around slower speed circuits, to Ferrari, which typically have better straight line speed. I'm more inclined to go Aston Martin because I have a wild card. I can do 3 transfers this week. I can use a wild card next week. Like, no qualms at all. But I think if you've already burnt your wild card, you probably have to think about whether or not these transfer hits, A, are worth it, and B, if it makes sense to move back into a high-powered double premium constructor lineup next week, or you stick it out with another week of Aston Martin. And I think if you have doubts about bringing in Aston Martin for just a week, maybe 2, then don't do it. Like, go Mercedes instead. Go Ferrari. It's easier to get from Ferrari, Mercedes, or Mercedes to Ferrari than going from Aston Martin. Most people could probably do Ferrari, Mercedes in 1 or 2 transfers, but the Aston Martin, because it's so cheap, probably requires a 3rd. Is 3X an option? Not this weekend. Not this weekend. Is triple McLaren worth with Alpine as constructor? No, I'd go Sauber over Alpine, Hitanch, if you can get there. Might be worth stopping chat until Rob catches up. I'm getting through it. Russell's been looking strong in D cover. Yeah, I think he's been great. If you've got a lower budget, then I think Russell's a fine alternative to Norris. Like the lineups I've seen with McLaren, Aston Martin, Piastri, Russell for teams maybe a few million short. Oh my god. Oh my days. Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Russell looks great. 2 of the 3 teams have wildcards, so we'll likely use all 3 transfers for my teams. They've been burning a hole in my pocket. Yeah, me too. I understand your Spurs allergy. I have a Spurs allergy, right? Yeah. I think you said that before, didn't you? I don't have a Spurs allergy. I know you do, though. Is triple McLaren worth with Alpine? I answered that. No, I'd go Sauber instead if you can. Is 3x an option? Not this weekend. I just joined. Maybe you already answered the question around the mid-season mini league. Only one race, not the full second half. It is, to my understanding, just the one race mini league with £2,000 on offer. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a full second half season mini league. A shame for any people that have been really building up their budget to 130, 135. Thank you, Andre. Go get some tea and honey. As soon as this stream ends, I'm gonna go get some some meds and rest for the day. Who are you 2xing? I know Norris looks like the pick, but he burned me last time with that DNF. Yeah, I know, Michael. Me too. Thank you for stopping through as well. I agree, Norris. I had him in Canada, and the week after, what was after Canada? It was a European race, wasn't it? What was it? Was it the triple header? Like my memory is completely wiped. So I had Norris for 2 races earlier in the season. Yeah, Canada and then Austria. So Norris thankfully only had, it was only 3 points down on Oscar in Austria, but I had him for that DNF in, I'm gonna bring the screen back up on statistics. So yeah, I've had Norris before this season. Had him in Canada where he looked much better than Oscar Piastri, and then he DNF'd. And then I kept him for 1 more week in Austria, and then there was nothing in it for that week. Then I moved him back out in Silverstone. So yeah, I'm scarred by that. But what can you do, right? Who are you 2xing? Yeah, Norris. If I go the triple McLaren, triple Aston, Norris definitely. Which team do I choose? Joshua asks. Alonso Stroll Mercedes, Russell Stroll Mercedes, Russ Colapinto Ferrari. I'd go the Alonso Stroll Mercedes. Oh, hang on. What? Russell Stroll Mercedes or Alonso Stroll Mercedes? Russell Stroll Mercedes. I think you must mean Russell Stroll Aston Martin, Josh. I'd probably go either the Alonso Stroll Mercedes or the Russell Stroll Aston Martin. Probably I want to say Russell Stroll Aston Martin. Yeah. With Ferrari, I'd have Oscar and 4 B tiers with 10 million unused. With Mercedes, best I can do is Kimi, and he looks bad, even though McLaren Aston would cost me a -20. Yeah, wouldn't recommend. If you're taking -10s, -20s, I would just stick with Ferrari, honestly, or pivot to Mercedes if you're worried about Ferrari. It's easy, as I said before, to get from Mercedes, from Mercedes, than it is with McLaren, than it is with Aston Martin. Sorry. Weather reports, great point, Felix. We're going to talk about the weather in just a second. Would you triple down on Aston if it means tripling down on McLaren? I mean, yes. I don't think tripling down on McLaren is a bad thing this weekend. Yes, Brad, I would definitely do that. Is triple McLaren with Aston worth against Piastri, Antonelli, Mercedes? I mean, I've been toying with that, Sandor. I think... yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, it depends on your team, right? It depends if you have wildcard. If you have an Aston Martin... If you have a wildcard and you want to go Aston Martin, then I think this weekend's a great time to do so. But kind of the point I've been saying all stream is I don't have to take -10s. And if that looks likely this week and next, then I would just stick with Ferrari or go for Mercedes. Oh my goodness. I have a condition where I have to chat shit about Spurs. Oh, I know. Still need 0.9 million to get to Ferrari and Russell. That's not bad, Camilo. That's not bad. It's not far off. Not far off the optimal lineups. But I mean, who knows? If Ferrari struggle, then continue to struggle, then yeah. The thing is, if some people have already used the wild card and taken -20s on those weekends, so at this point, it's like, well, I don't know. Don't take the minus. I mean, play your own game is my question. It's just there's definitely opportunities throughout the season where taking hits isn't viable versus earlier in the season, I'd say hits are fine when you want to set a foundation for your team with budget building where there's maybe not as clearly a defined template lineup. Whereas kind of by this point in the season, we know who's good and who's not as a fantasy asset. And hits are less likely to pay off later in the season we get. So that's why I think, yeah, may as well use the wild card if there's a time to and you've kept it. I think I have caught up to the chat now. I've only got 4 questions to answer. So I can actually talk about my my team. Use up wild card. Worth it to get Stroll over Hulk and a McLaren, Aston, Norris, Piastri, Alonso build. Yeah, I think Boy Savage, that sounds great, mate. Would you go McLaren, Aston, Martin, Norris, Piastri, Alonso, Stroll? Hang on. How do I read this team? It's essentially... Wait, hang on. That lineup looks just like Bortoletto versus Stroll for Cameo. In which case, I would just say the Stroll lineup over the... Yeah. I would... I think, Camilo, it depends on your budget, of course, like your team value right now. For a pure points play, Stroll, but for budget upside, Bortoletto. Because if we go over to the budget builder... What does Stroll need? 12, 13 points, right? Off the top of my head, him and Hulkenberg need 13 and 14 points each. It depends on how I would just play the upside with Bortoletto. There's, not much to lose by going Bortoletto. Stroll, I think, could easily get 5 points. Does he get 0.6? Probably not. I'd say Bortoletto probably gets 5 points this weekend. Stroll probably gets 10. But I think 5 points less for a 0.6 value gain. I'd probably take Bortoletto over Stroll in that case. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the kind words, my friend. I actually have enough budget for Piastri, Russell, Stroll, Bortoletto, Lawson, McLaren, Mercedes. Nice. Do that. Oh, wow. Nice. Do that. I like that. Why no Ferrari? Because they've looked concerningly off the pace last week and this week. Neither of the drivers seem to have a lot of confidence in the car. Their performance in the pit stops has not been great. I don't know if you think you can. If you think Ferrari turn it around for their home race in Monza, as I said before, they're good at higher powered tracks or great straight line speed. Then there's no harm in holding them. I just don't think their points upside this weekend is going to be as high as Mercedes, maybe Aston Martin. Should I take Colapinto or Behrman? I'd go Colapinto. Nah, all good, Zach. All good, Zachary. Casual Meatball asks 4A versus 3 McLaren and Aston Martin. Still have wild card. Depends on the 4A Casual Meatball. Is it... if it's... Russell... I want to be different this week with a bit of Aston Martin spice. If I didn't have the wild card, I'd probably be going Mercedes. If I had the wild card, I'd probably be going Mercedes. Sorry, if I didn't have the wild card, I'd be going Mercedes. But let's go to my team. We've not talked about my team at all. We're 35 minutes into the stream. And there's, 250, 260 of you. watching. So would be great to get that like count up. It's free. So if you're enjoying this content, ladies and gents, please throw some love my way. But yeah, great to have almost creeping up to 300 of you in the chat this morning. I was expecting it's coming right off the back of the summer break. I think there's the summer break hangover bound to affect a lot of us. I think engagement naturally tapers off when you've got so much time away from F1 fantasy. But to see, almost 300 of you in the live chat, yeah, great. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Are you using autopilot? Not at this point. Okay. I'll talk about my team. We also have to talk about the weather for the weekend, kind of on the topic of autopilot. So thanks for mentioning Fadil. And then kind of what this looks like for, this weekend, the weeks beyond. Isaac is locking in the 2x on Norris with Piastri, Alonso, Lawson, Bortoleto, McLaren, Aston Martin with no wildcards. Should be able to swap over to a decent midfielder and Ferrari next week to get out of Aston and Norris. Nice. Team 2 picks. All right. Williams asked me 3 times, so I will appease him. So I don't have any transfers locked in. Okay, so this is my non-wild. This is my team 2, which is 2,000 in the world, but it hasn't used the wild card. So I'm inclined to go with Mercedes. This is my team 2. This is my team 2. Just so we're fully aware. So I'm going to go Mercedes. Thing is, 3 transfers. Let's think this through. Excuse me. I don't feel all that comfortable locking in. I would love to have 3 transfers to have that flexibility in Monza. So let's say I have, this is my team 2. This is not my team 1. I'm not locking in my transfers now. Favorite driver under 5 and 5.7, Bortoleto. This will be my team 2 team for this week. Then let's theoretically say we get to Monza. We got 3 up our sleeve. I'm going to say Aston Martin probably regress a little bit. Bortoleto will be a hold. I want to go to Ferrari. So, I mean, I might want to keep Mercedes. That's why I'm leaning towards having a premium constructor, because they're less swingy week to week. No, you're right, William. You're right. I'm happy to walk you through my team 2 plans. So I think there's less of a, let's call it, Aston Martin might be different. Like Adrian Newey sneezes and the AMR 25 becomes a top 4 team. But I do think, it's much easier to predict where a top 4 team will shake out in free practice than, say, an Aston Martin or a Williams. They kind of rubber band between the top 6, top 7, and the bottom 15, 16. Whereas you'll always expect Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull to be all within like the top 8 most of the time. So, excuse me. So let's call this my team in Monza. I'll probably position my team for the 4A either in Monza or in Baku. Need to then downgrade at least Hülkenberg and Stroll, and having 3 transfers to enable that feels like it would make a lot of sense. So for argument's sake, let's take out Hulk. I'd bring in Liam Lawson. I'd hope Hülkenberg rises in value. If I'm worried Hulk won't. So that's 12. Then it's one of these 2 guys to make way for Kimi. Or George? What's George's? He's 22. Can I get to George? So I can just afford this team in Monza, assuming Stroll goes up, Stroll and Hülkenberg go up, and Aston Martin go up. Like, that would be a great team to have in Monza. I could also do, I guess this is then at this point bordering on more transfers. That's the thing. So that's why I'm thinking, do I forward plan with 3 transfers? So they would be 2 for next week. And then these would be potentially 3 the week after. So I can't get to the Russell Ferrari yet. So it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm boxed into the second premium constructor for at least a couple more weeks with midfield drivers. So for team 2, given I don't have a wild card, I'm just going to do the transfers now because I won't be going Aston Martin on this lineup this week. So I have 3, so I'll be rolling one into Monza. I'll reevaluate that next week. This is team 2 before anyone freaks out. I'm carrying 7.5, but anyway. It is what it is. Okay, so that's team 2. Team 1 still outstanding. Should I use my final fix with 2 transfers? It depends on who your final fix is on. I wouldn't be using it on midfield drivers. Is easy. Crazy Canuck says my budget allows for Piastri, Norris. Goodness me, I am as sick as a dog. My budget allows for Piastri, Norris, Lawson, Colapinto, Bortoletto, McLaren, Alpine. Good points team. Fine. I think I'd take Sauber over Alpine. Alpine just looks so dreadful. Colapinto, you got it, William. Of course, anytime. Good points team. I'd probably take Sauber over for Alpine. Colapinto is just a DNF waiting to happen. Gasly is doing his best, and they still can't lift that car out of the bottom 5. So I'd probably go Canuck. I'd probably go Sauber over Alpine. And Leapsfrog, who's in the chat. How are you, Andrew? Hope you're well. He was talking about Sauber as a second constructor as well. So I think that, if I understand, from what I was seeing on the Discord, potentially an option. Yeah, look, Leaps, Andrew, I don't know how these floor issues are going to impact Ferrari realistically. I'm concerned that we've seen in the last 2 practice sessions. I don't know if you joined at the start, but I was talking about the fact that these adjustments to the ride height setup for Plankware are worrying a little bit. I think we saw a little bit of that in simulations are out. How good. I just think Ferrari, I'm not filled with confidence owning them, to be honest. And yes, they've got great straight line speed. I think they'll be competitive more so than they have been at these slower speed tracks the last couple races. But I just don't know. I want to say, like, their ceiling is a podium for sure with Charles, but their floor is like 7th to 10th, 6th to 10th. I don't feel confident in that team. But the problem is, there isn't really an objectively second best constructor. Like, the fact we're grappling with the likelihoods of Aston Martin and Williams this weekend makes me think that it's going to be a shot in the dark most race weeks. And in fantasy, like, it's been pretty talked about, but the pit stops, this is, I guess I'm getting away from the genesis of your question. But I kind of have to look at Ferrari like, yes, their straight line speed is fine. They'll still be a top 4 team. I don't think that affects them drastically. I think more often than not, they'll probably score between 35 and 50 points, 60 points. But you take out their pit stop points in fantasy as well. Take out the fact Lewis has been qualifying pretty terribly, so that takes away their teamwork points as well on Saturday. I'm just not sure I'm seeing enough value at 30.3. I mean, I'm not sure we're seeing enough value from Mercedes either. And then Aston Martin and Williams are a bit, coin flip. So I just don't know. I'd love to give you a more informed answer, but it's hard to get a read more than a week ahead. I'm just going off what I think I could expect, but I think this feels like a perfect weekend to go different. and move off Ferrari. Sounds like Andrew Leapsfrog. So sorry if I didn't mention at the start. Andrew won the F1 Fantasy Global League last year. So if there's anyone who knows F1 Fantasy inside out, it's him. Sims are out. Yep, I know. I will get over to them in just a sec. I'm fascinated by them. Okay. Team calculator. And yeah, hopefully a bit of... Brand, great to have you back, my friend. Great to have you back. Bortoletto, DNF in Australia, Miami and Silverstone, all wet races. True. Is Williams completely out of the equation after FP3? No, not necessarily. They just don't really fit into my budget plans, that's all. So we got FP3 Sims on the screen here. And where do they have Aston Martin? So Aston Martin have gone down. Okay, hang on. I still think, yeah. So they've definitely brought down the Aston Martin estimates and bumped up the McLaren estimates. So if we look at FP2, we'll just go to FP2 for a yardstick. Dogs are not usually sick, not like this. They're fully sick. So we had, Norris and Piastri like 33, 34. Aston were at 33. Alonso, I think, was at 18 when I last looked. Yeah. And we go to FP3. Alonso has been pegged down like 4 or 5 million. So yeah, Leclerc is now higher. Alonso's down from 18 to 13. McLaren are about the same. Aston Martin are down from 33 to 31. Doesn't materially move the needle. Still makes the template Aston Martin lineups the best ones at my budget of 125 odd. So we have to go, like, how far down if we exclude Aston Martin? So they've given us, for these projections, 240 at 2.42 budget gain. If we take them out, the next best lineup is a Norris lineup. I'm not sure I'd be going Gasly. But you're not seeing nearly the same amount of budget gain. It feels like a no-brainer this week. Triple Aston Martin, triple McLaren. Just because, as I've said, there's no clearly defined second-best constructor. So why not just all go in on what we do know in the McLaren team instead? Sims are in. They definitely are. To hell with the tea and honey, straight to the scotch. Thank you, mate. I'm not using the 3X, Rodrigo. I'm not using the 3X. We're creeping up above 300 now. That's nice as we approach the first hour of the stream. But yeah, subscribe to the channel. Throw a like on the video, guys, if you're enjoying the content. But yeah, there's decisions to be made. I think the thoughts are, and my likely moves are on screen. Like, I do think I'm leaning towards triple Aston Martin, and I've got the wild card, so I like the flexibility. If you don't, I think if you don't have that transfer flexibility, like if you have only 2 transfers, I wouldn't be touching the Aston Martin constructor. I think Alonso and Stroll is enough coverage. But it's not obviously to enable the upside of Aston Martin. It's to enable the upside of Norris as a 2x differential. Should I leave my wildcard if not needed, or use and keep 3 changes from Monza? So you can't, if you use a wildcard, you will always have 2 transfers after using the wildcard. So just keep that in mind if you are activating that chip. Kaviri, great to have you through. Triple Aston Martin, I think, seems to be the flavour of the day. Piastri to Norris for a -10. Oh, I don't know. Lando looks like a man possessed. I will give him that. He looks very good out there. The problem is, as soon as you want to, again, it depends on Mia. It depends on if I pronounce your name right. If you're in a position to move to the 4-8 lineup in 3 or 4 weeks' time, Norris is an inevitable transfer out. because Piastri enables those upgrades to other parts of your team at 5 million less. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if I'd be taking his for Piastri and Norris. Certainly not on a non-sprint weekend. Would you minus 10 for premium 4A? Kenneth asks. Probably. No. Nah. Probably not this weekend. Given there's not a mad rush to get there right away, I think it's fine to be patient for another week or two. Michael's dropped for breakfast. He's put milk in his latte, espresso first. That really should come as no surprise. Any weather updates? Great question. Weather was my input for possible autopilot. Yeah, Mac Attack, possible chip for me this week, maybe autopilot, but it depends on the weather, which we're going to, and You Eat Soaps just asked the same question. So we'll talk about autopilot right now. I'll rush through a couple of questions. Ali answered that question on 3X chip. Yep, thank you, Ali. Delap injured. I don't care about Liam Delap. I don't care about Liam Delap. Williams is a solid differential for Aston. Yeah, no, it is. It is. The problem is with my budget at 125.5, I think it is, or 125. Yeah, 125.5. I mean, Williams' estimate's also bumped up. I also think 11 is super conservative for the Williams constructor. But I can't get to them. I want triple McLaren this weekend, and I just cannot get to that team with Williams. I think it enables what's this? It certainly enables more for my team by going triple Aston Martin. Excuse me. Autopilot, yeah. So a couple of questions on autopilot. Let's go to the weather forecast. Sorry, Matt, I'm not sure if I was answering your question. I think I was answering someone else's question, but if I said something, I apologize. I will answer your question. So I can't have 3 times McLaren, 3 Aston Martin without swapping Stroll or Alonso. Thoughts on what to do? Well, I wouldn't go to Aston Martin for a hit, first of all. Oh, well, it depends, how many transfers you have. It's if you had to swap out one of Alonso or Stroll to get to... Well, hang on, that doesn't make sense. You can't have 3X McLaren and 3X Aston without swapping out Stroll. Well, you couldn't have... I don't think you could... Oh, I think you're referring to your own question. Sorry. I was swapping out Stroll and Alonso. Thoughts on what to do. Could you go Alonso, Aston Martin, Bortoletto, and like a Sainz maybe? Could that work, Matt? Have a shot of warm milk. A teaspoon of turmeric does magic. Tastes disgusting. It does. It sounds disgusting. No, as soon as I'm off this stream, I'm going to the pharmacy. I'm going to pick up some meds. I'm going to rest. Yes, Matt. It would be. I'd choose Alonso for sure. All right. So, forecast. Let's go. Can I get this ad off my screen, please? 2 glasses of milk, please. All right. So, we really are interested in Sunday. We're not interested in Saturday. I don't even know what the weather forecast is at the track like today. But yeah, 300 odd in the chat. Always great to have you guys here on a Saturday. All right. I've used this website so many times. How can I not? Okay. So, let's... Can we get like the... Rest and watch Spurs. Spurs are going to do nothing for my health. They're going to make me feel worse, probably. All right. So, weather forecast. What this means for the race. Afternoon. Chance of rain, 25%. The thing is, I don't know if they have the radar for Sunday, do they? So like there's a small chance. So it's in line with expectations. 20% chance of rain. If we go to the radar, I think this will be today, though. That's the problem. Like, that's not very helpful for tomorrow. Because Zanvort is out here, right? If you guys have watched this stream before and watched me try and do radars, it's a terrible watch. Zanvort is somewhere out here, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway. It's going to be... Yeah, this is kind of irrelevant. Watching the radar is kind of irrelevant because this doesn't really have us showing what we need for tomorrow. Yeah, I saw that Josh King got ruled out. The point is... Okay, this is fine. This is fine. So... I want the hour by hour for tomorrow. That's all we need. We don't need the radar. We don't need to get into the minutia of the radar. We want tomorrow's hour by hour summary. Okay, good. All right. So, why is it in Fahrenheit? Bloody hell. Hang on. I should have had this prepared before the stream, but in classic Rob style, in classic unprepared F1 Fantasy Deadline stream style, I'm doing this live. Alright, so 68. Can I change this to Celsius, please? I mean, I'm assuming there are a few American viewers in the chat. There's no doubt about it. But for the majority of the people watching, I think we're in Celsius. I can do the translation, though. I know how to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So race should be at 3 o'clock tomorrow, local time. Loosey-goosey weather, indeed. 69 Fahrenheit is 20 degrees Celsius. How do I get to that calculation? Because you take 30 from Fahrenheit number and then divide it by 2. That's like the estimate. That's the loosey-goosey weather. So shout out to Ewan. The forecast shows it's expected to rain. I've lost my cursor. Why is this not working? Oh no. The stream is crashed. What the fudge just happened to my computer? Did it go down again? I don't even know if the stream is still streaming. My computer has gone black. Everything has just crashed. We're back. I think we're back. Did the stream just crash? I think it did. I think the stream just crashed for a half second and then it just rebooted. So, yeah, I don't know what just happened there. The whole thing just crashed. I think we're back though. Yep. Audio is fine. Yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's all good. It's all good. My computer just went... Nah. Oh no. Screen is black. Weird. Hang on. Visual's not so good. Oh dear. I think the stream crashed for like 10 seconds. I don't know what is going on. I did the update to the streaming software as well, so maybe refresh the yep. Okay, I can see it. I can see it on I can see the delay to the broadcast studio. I think I'm back because on OBS, yeah, it's fine. We're fine. That was so random. Clearly, weather upsets the OBS studio, but yeah, we're good. That was weird. Sorry, everyone. I think... I don't know what was going on, but I didn't stop talking, so anyway. There we go. I think we're firing, or at least I think we're firing. That was so random. Anyway. Let me go through some questions. Hopefully the stream holds up. It looks like it's working now, but I'll answer the questions that aren't related to this. It's definitely not streaming software. It's just me. It's just me. Maybe I'm just not destined to be a YouTube streamer for F1 Fantasy. But where were we? All right. So, Jeremy, thank you for dropping through. I saw your message before. I didn't have a chance to read it. Thank you for coming through. So, 69 Fahrenheit, which is, 19 degrees Celsius, 20% chance of rain. I don't know what to make of it. I think there is probably an argument for autopilot. I'm just hoping the rain stays away because we've got showers in the morning. It seems like it's overcast. There's no rain in the lead up to the race and during the race. So anyway, I'm not leaning towards autopilot right now to answer the question. A very long-winded way of answering that, throwing in the fact that the stream just collapsed. So apologies for that, everyone. Anyway, still lagging pretty bad. Deary me. Kaviri asks Bortoletto over Sainz Gasly. Sorry, haven't seen the data yet, hence asking. I'll go Bortoletto. Sainz, Sainz, I don't mind, honestly. He's probably my favorite driver in terms of those that are probably not talked about all that much. He needs 10 points for a max rise. If he has a good quali, where was he in all 3 free practice sessions? Because he was fourth. He was fourth in FP3, and he was top 8 in FP1. Where was he in FP2? He was a little bit further down the order. I'd back him to bounce back. I'd back him to do well this weekend. I definitely think both Williams are Q3 merchants. Minus 10 to go. Yeah, so we definitely lost a few viewers with that crash. Not to mention that Rain, I think, is also streaming. What do we think? Save no negative for Brazil. I just don't think the weather is as concerning for this weekend as maybe I was thinking a couple days ago. So I would probably say hold off on the no negative. It's also the thing is with no negative, you also get on a sprint weekend that extra session of DNF risk. Brazil's reigned there the last 2 years, so I'd probably argue it's worth yikes. Probably worth saving. Right, that's my team 1. I haven't made the transfers yet. Ali makes a great point that both wet races in Australia and the UK, Lando Norris won. He also won here last year. I wonder who had the fastest lap last year. I think it might have been Lando too. Who was it? I think he was the highest scoring F1 fantasy asset in Zandvoort. Yeah. Did he get driver of the day too? Looks like it. Yeah, fastest lap and driver of the day. And pole position. Pole position, fastest lap, race win. Did he lead every lap as well for the Grand Slam? Either way, Lando coming out of the summer break last year looked really good. Kind of expect that from him again this time around. So, yeah. I think it's triple Aston Martin for me, triple McLaren. I think Colin, I am leaning away from the 4A lineup this weekend. There's not a clear second best team in my opinion, and given there's a lot of known variables, known things for McLaren, it seems like a great chance, a great point to make the most of. So, not great point to make the most of. That didn't even make sense. Seems like a great opportunity to capitalize on. So yeah, I think for me it seems logical. This will likely be my team, for what it's worth. Oh God. Imagine if I had enough budget to get to this and Lando Norris. Like, I'd love that. I guess my real decision is Hülkenberg or Stroll, because they both need the same amount of points to rise. I'm probably thinking keeping Stroll. I've liked what I've seen from him more in practice, despite that crash. So, like, where was... Can I get this off the screen? Hülkenberg was P10 yesterday. He was P16 today. Yeah, I think Stroll is slightly better. Slightly better this week. So yeah, my my probable lineup is likely going to be this. Tiamote has Lawson. Is it worth Bortoletto and a -10? No. I wouldn't be taking -10s at back markers. Ali thinks there could be, based on what she heard in practice, teams taking engine penalties. I mean, Monza is a high engine penalty sec. A lot of teams tend to take grid penalties in Monza because of the long DRS straight for overtaking. So keep an eye on that. We probably will see Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull all take engine penalties. Maybe not all of them. Wouldn't be surprised if Red Bull takes one though. Where are we sitting on autopilot? Probably not for me this weekend now. Probably not. John, yeah, the race pace sims on F1 Fantasy Tools are out. We talked about them maybe 20 minutes ago. How was my birthday? Yeah, my birthday was great. Thanks for asking. It was really good. It was on Tuesday. Uh, 3X time? Not this week. A lot of questions around the 3X. A lot of questions around the 3X. I just don't think using the 3X DRS boost chip has the same upside as you might otherwise have on a sprint race weekend. More points on the table. Why not? Like, if you were using it on this team now, right, the one you see on screen, why wouldn't you just wait and use it until McLaren look really good in Circuit of the Americas or Qatar or Brazil? Like, I understand if you want to say use no negative in Brazil and you want to use another chip in another one of the sprint race weekends, but like if you really think the 3X is good here with a McLaren double up drivers, then I think it makes sense to just wait until you've got an extra scoring session to maximize the upside even more for a similar lineup. I'm using the 3X in Circuit of the Americas or Qatar most likely. Sainz or Lawson? I want to say Sainz. Hey Axis. I extensively looked through your early thoughts video and I locked in Norris, Stroll, Alonso, Bortoletto, Lawson, McLaren, Aston. After practice sessions, Aston Martin isn't looking like a bad idea. Yeah, no, it's not. They're looking good. Looking good. Bortoletto over Lawson? Definitely. I think Sainz, yeah, I'd like to go Sainz over Lawson. Jeremy can't get to 3X McLaren and Aston Martin by 0.5 million. So instead of Stroll, I need Bortoletto or Sainz. Which do you think? Bortoletto seems safer. Yeah, I think Bortoletto for the fact he cannot lose value and the likelihood he will probably go up 0.6. Or Sainz, I think you're playing the points game. But Sainz only needs, 10 points was it, to go up 0.6? So it's not a reach. It's definitely not a reach for a driver that looks like a top 6, top 7 candidate this weekend. Disco Heat, welcome back, mate. KFC chicken nuggets or McDonald's? Can only choose one sauce. I'm going McDonald's chicken nuggets with sweet and sour sauce. Sue me. I haven't done a poll. I haven't done any polls. God, I am so unwell. I'm so sorry. Who is your second constructor this weekend? I think I know the answer to this question already, but I want to ask it anyway. Oh. I can't get myself to trust B-tier constructors. I wouldn't either for more than a couple weeks. But for me, it's a 1 week punt. I think Aston Martin are perfectly fine. The way they're looking at the moment, great. Williams too. It's just Williams doesn't work with my budget right now, and I can't back against the way McLaren are performing. So, yeah. Big fan. All right, so we've got 50 minutes left, 45 minutes left. 300 of you here. Please do drop a like, guys. Won't ever ask for donations. But hey, I could, as it's my birthday week, could I ask for a like? No, I'm not going to sound insufferable like that, even though I might have already done so. Let's look at my team 3. I'm going to lock in transfers for that too. And then, so yeah, that's my team 2. I'm going Mercedes for a high-powered constructor for Monza next week, planning ahead because I don't have a wild card. This is my team 3. Sweet and sour any day. Yeah, back that. Back that. Back that. Sweet and sour sauce, 100%. Good to see that. I'm going to have a hot whiskey and go to bed. Don't you worry, right after this stream. But F1 Fantasy comes first on Saturdays. F1 Fantasy always comes first on Saturdays. Gino, the probability of rain is 20% tomorrow at the time of the race start. So for me, I'm not thinking it's enough for autopilot. I say that now, and it will probably screw me over. I mean, yeah, Disco, we were looking at the weather before. I'll just flash it back up one more time. It did crash the stream the last time we looked at the weather. So if you guys are just joining, the stream went down 15 minutes ago because I looked at the weather. 20% chance of rain, overcast, light to medium wind gusts. So 69 Fahrenheit is about 20 degrees Celsius air temperature. So I think there's an argument. It says it's overcast at the race start. It's not raining. There's rain in the morning until 10 o'clock. So it will be cool, but I'm not sure it's enough for me to throw the autopilot down. I will probably go 2x on Lando though. This is my team 3. I haven't made my transfers for my team 1 either. So this one will likely have Aston Martin. I'm just going to go over to Twitter to make sure I've not missed any updates. But, yeah. Signs or Lawson, I feel like Stroll will fumble. Signs, Alexi. I'm so sorry, I'm sick. The stream did go into autopilot mode. Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you, Jeremy. The stream did go into autopilot mode. No, it went into DNF mode for like 2 minutes. It is hard to rotate to 4A next week. I 100% agree, but I have a wild card, so I'm not really too bothered by it. And as if you've just joined the stream, my thoughts are, if you are taking hits this week and likely next week, I don't think Aston Martin is worth it. I think it's perfectly fine to just run with both Stroll and Alonso. But I'm playing for the kind of the Lando Norris 2x upside. Norris 2x 100%. If you have both Norris and Piastri in your team, Norris definitely. Am I missing home lately? A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I've got a trip back to Sydney in November for a wedding. So I will definitely be enjoying the warmer weather by the beach for a couple weeks. It's going to be good. Thank you for getting Guy up to speed on an Aston Martin alley. I mean, look, I do want to make sure that I'm not providing just one opinion on Aston Martin. I think for my team, I'm crying out for an opportunity to 2x Lando on a weekend where he looks good. I did that in Canada. It backfired. But I'm not going to let that dissuade me. I think the other argument in favor of Aston Martin is just, again, as I've said before, it's hard to see a clear second constructor this weekend. So where there are those variables, it almost makes sense to go all in on McLaren, 2x Lando Norris. And Aston Martin look competitive. They're not going to score podiums, but I think they're both top 10 material. Look, it could backfire. I'm very well prepared for that eventuality. But I think it's an informed decision for my team. And I've got the wild card, so I can always wild card out of it next week if it goes upside down. I guess the argument against the Aston Martin is, as I've also said, is if you've got no wild card, if you are short on transfers, I just wouldn't really be seriously entertaining it. And as I showed on screen before, this is my team 2, which doesn't have a wild card. If I can, my computer's really lagging. I fully expect the stream will crash again at some point. I used my wild card earlier in the season. So for that reason, didn't want to have a situation where I'm backed into a corner trying to do surgery with Norris and Aston Martin out. I'd rather just carry Mercedes through to next week. They could pivot. I could pivot Hulkenberg out, Mercedes out, Ferrari in, and a 4.5 in, something like that. I haven't thought about that in great detail, but that's certainly an option in 2 transfers. Maybe 3, but yeah, I kind of have to be more sensible with this team 2. And team 3, I haven't really made transfers for. I wish I kind of had a wild card because, look, I'm going to put Aston Martin on my team 3. I guess I've already got, and I'm going to throw the autopilot down. Excuse me. Problem is, again, I can't. All right, so I'm going to back against Hulk on this team. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Did I back against Hulk? I'm going to go differential. So I went both on this team. I'm likely going Stroll on my team 1, so it means I should probably go Hulk on my team 3. I'm just thinking about playing the strategy a little different for all 3 teams. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. And that means next week I could do in 2 moves Mercedes. Could I do Ferrari? I mean, it gives me flexibility on that second slot, essentially. So yeah, the thought here is Norris in, Aston Martin in for Team 3, and I will throw the autopilot down. Yeah, so this is Team 3. So I'm not reading the chat at the moment, I'm just locking in my Team 3. Yeah. Okay. And I'll put the autopilot on this Team 3. Oh, I've already used it. Oh, well. Screw it then. Screw it. How do I need to put the 2x on this fella as well? Or should I go Piastri? Should I do a hedge? I don't think the delta is going to be much unless someone DNFs. I'm going to hedge it. I'll go Piastri on this one. Actually, no. No. Anyway. You guys don't really care about my Team 3 anyway. So, anyway, 300 viewers, 120 likes. You guys are legends. Back to the chat. We got 40 minutes. I'll lock in my team in probably 30. 25, 30. Autopilot's not necessarily best for sprint race weekends, Tyler. I'm going to close the poll as well. I think there's an argument to use it on sprint race weekends. There's an argument to use it on non-sprint race weekends. I'm actually going to try and debunk the myth one way or another of what weekend it's better to use on. I just haven't had the time to do that analysis. It'll be something similar to the analyses on my Limitless. If you saw that video earlier in the season, it'll be quite mathematical based or math based. But I do want to really figure out what's favorable for using the chip, because I think you can make arguments for both, but I want to back that point of view with statistics. So could be an off-season activity for me. It could be something I do later in the year. All right, so Tiamote, I think I'm not sure if I answered your question. Bortoletto or Signs? I think Bortoletto this week. Rain, who doesn't have wildcard, I think is also leaning 3x Aston to enable 3x McLaren. Checking in on that stream as well, but I'm still happy I have the wildcard for next week. Yeah, I think Rain used his wildcard in the second week of the season, Ali. 2x on Oscar or Lando? Lando. William, great to have you in the chat too. Thank you for coming through. Oh yeah, Sydney got an absolute deluge of rain. My mum was saying during the week that it's just been non-stop for like the last month. Don't miss that. It's summer here in New York. It's gorgeous weather today. It's a long weekend as well, so interesting. So yeah, poll results. Thanks for the call out, Miguel, one of the OGs. 62% are on Aston Martin. That's crazy. So if we go to the elite data, because I actually do want to talk about that. We won't have the statistics for this weekend yet. Oh, my internet browser is really struggling today. I think it's this one. Yeah. So if so Aston Martin currently 4.6% owned by the global top 500. Let's see where that number is after the deadline, because I think it will skyrocket. I'm estimating somewhere around 40%. 40 to 50% is my 30. I think it'll be around 30 to 50%. That's a huge delta, but I think a lot of similarly engaged managers will look at Aston Martin and look at it as an enabler to get in triple McLaren just because of how compelling, convincing. I say two words at once. But yeah, I think that'll creep up definitely closer to 50% among the top 500. Ferrari will drop off a lot. Mercedes will go up a bit as well. I think we'll see Mercedes, Aston Martin go up a lot. Ferrari will probably drop down to like 60, 50, 60%. That's my guess. Study Master asks, thoughts on the Kick Sauber constructor? Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. It's a great, cheaper route to enabling the triple McLaren this week. João Pedro goal. Get in. What's the talk around Russell? Haven't heard much about his P3. Yeah, I mean, great question. I think Russell is perfectly fine. I talked about him a little bit earlier in the stream. The thing with him is that I think for those lower budget teams that want the second premium driver with Aston Martin, let's have a play around with my team here, right? So this won't work for me, but I am perfectly fine if you've got a slightly cheaper team to do something like this. It might not work for everyone, but if your budget is below 117 million, I think this is great. I really like that. You've still got pretty much the makings of a template lineup. The only difference is obviously Russell. You'd still 2x Piastri over Russell. But I think Russell again kind of offsets any risk you might have with going, say, that premium driver. The thing is, I'd almost be inclined to stick with like Ferrari or Mercedes as a second premium constructor at that point. Because I look at, like, if you compare like Russell and Aston Martin versus like Mercedes and I guess 10 million less, it's probably like a Lawson, a Sainz. Like I look at it like Sainz and Mercedes or Russell Aston Martin. Because Russell is Aston Martin. You take Russell out of the equation. So in this team, it would be Kimi and Sainz versus Stroll and Alonso, if that makes sense. Because Aston Martin, it's kind of like I look at it like a little bit of a math equation. Sainz because Russell's in both equations, right? So it's Russell, Stroll, Alonso versus Sainz, Russell, Antonelli. You take Russell out of both. So it's Sainz and Antonelli against Stroll and Alonso. Who do you think scores more out of Sainz and Antonelli or Stroll and Alonso? I'd probably say Sainz and Antonelli. Not by much, but I'd say it's for these. This is for the lower budget teams, of course. For these kind of 124, 125 budget teams like mine, not really a discussion, but I like the Russell offset. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. Appreciate you. If we've used a negative already, should save autopilot for Brazil. That's my thought, Kenneth. That's my thought. It might well rain. We'll have 2 premium drivers in Brazil. I think having the autopilot there is going to be very valuable. It's not going to be the last wet race of the season. And I think like Zandvoort's not even expected to be torrential. It'll be wet. But anyway, not too... I'm going to post my team, or get ready to post my team, because I'm going to lock this in very shortly. A few more questions in the chat. I mean, like, here's a thought. Wait, how much is kick? It's not 6 anymore. I was gonna say, like, if you could afford Kick's Alba and this lineup for 2 transfers, roll a third into Monza. That's not a bad shout either, but I can't do that. What's the talk? I talked about Russell, Piastri, Russell, Bortoletto, Lawson, Sainz, McLaren, Ferrari, or run the 3 McLaren. I mean, like, Jeff's, that's fine too. I mean, Ferrari, I don't think are going to be that competitive this weekend, but lots of split decisions over that second constructor slot. If you think, like, I really like that team, Jeff, though. Piastri, Russell, Bortoletto, Lawson, Sainz, McLaren, Ferrari. That's really nice. I don't mind it. Lawson locked with 3x Aston, 3x McLaren. Love that. A non-budget low, 117, all 120. Should I risk the 3x? Yeah, I mean, that lineup I just talked through, Anon, that's probably the play I would use. Worth swapping Stroll out for Alonso for -10? Not so sure about that, Chris. Not a huge fan of the midfield driver transfers. Oh, hang on. Wow. A few more questions in the chat. Almost creeping up to 400 concurrent viewers. 138 likes. Be great to get to like 175 likes, 200 likes on the stream today. And we're at 9229 subs. It'd be nice to get to 10k subs by the end of the year. I don't know if it'll happen because there's a lot of engagement and attrition. A fall off in engagement and subscriber attrition later in the year. But yeah, it'd be nice to get to that goal year end. I'm almost at 10k on Twitter as well, which is nice. Nice little milestone. So yeah, it's all good. Have to drop. Have another great stream. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming through. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, my friend. F1 predictions. Should we do that? We've got 30 minutes left, so I'm going to prep my post on Twitter. Behrman Norris and Hulk Bortoletto. So, F1 predict. Yeah, most diverse team set up in a long time for sure. I'd save the limitless. Whoever asked that. Hey, Mazuris. Thanks for coming through, mate. Yeah, Martyr. I would save the limitless. Andreas, I wouldn't take a -10 for signs. Still have limitless. Save limitless. I'm strongly considering selling Ferrari to get Aston Martin. Teams like no rain for all of qualifying. Keep in mind as well, Ferrari terrible in the rain. Teams like no rain for all of qualifying and 25% chance of rain for race. Remove Lawson for Stroll for a -10? No, I wouldn't take Lawson out for Stroll. I'm scared of Stroll too, but it is a risk I'm willing to take. Not locked already? No, not yet. Waiting for any late mail. I'm about to though. Okay, podium. It's easy. Norris. Piastri. Should we be cheeky? Who do we want to put as our third? I don't know. Is there any news? Doesn't look like it. I'm just looking for Medland. He's always usually the best and most reliable source of news. Luke Smith. Yeah, nothing from Medland. Interesting. Alright. Sorry, I shouldn't cough into the microphone. It's really bad manners. I don't have Instagram, Kaveri, unfortunately. So you won't see any activity from me there. I'm gonna throw Russell. Yeah, I'm gonna go Russell. Verstappen, Alonso, Russell. It's a gamble. I'm pretty confident. I'm gonna go. Actually, no, I'm not gonna activate the 2x on that. Who will take pole position? Lando Norris. No brainer for me. Who will qualify highest? I'm gonna go Ocon. How many teams will get a current Q3? Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin. I'll say 6. Throw Williams in there. Maybe 7? Like Hadjar's looking good too, but someone has to drop, right? Yeah. Who will finish ahead in the race? Sainz. I'm going to put that chip on him as well. Who will set the fastest pit stop? I want to be... let's say McLaren. Yeah, watch Ferrari put in an absolute banger in the pit stop. Will there be a safety car? Yes. Who will set the fastest lap time? Lando Norris. Who will score the most points? Aston Martin. These are like very easy. Most places gained by a driver in the race, less than 4.5. I don't know if, unless it's like Lewis who qualifies 14th or something. All right. I really raced through those. All right. I think I'm going to lock my team in the next 5 minutes. Yep, the Sims definitely are out. Wait, did they? No, they didn't post more Sims, did they? They posted them like an hour ago. Okay, so this is my team one. I think I'm locking this team in shortly. I'll put it on screen just so people can see where I'm likely landing. Thoughts on no negative? I'd save it for this week. Where's Bordeaux? Bought. We are out of bought license plates in the gift shop. Wonder if anyone knows that reference. All right. Questions. Triple X this weekend. I would not be using the 3X this weekend. Trevor asks, hey mate, I hope you've been good, legend. Can you give a shout out to my partner, Sarah? She's wondering who this man on my TV is at the moment. Sarah, I hope you're having a superb Saturday wherever you are in the world. And hopefully I've given Trevor advice. Well, I hope, is Trevor Trevior? Sorry if I mispronounced that. But hopefully I've provided enough advice to inform your partner's F1 fantasy team this weekend. So have an absolute banging Saturday and a successful F1 fantasy weekend. Who else have we got? Autopilot versus Lando 2X. Lando 2X. Not locked already? Not yet. Colapinto out for signs for -10. Wouldn't take the -10 for that. Yeah, sorry, Kaviri. Yeah, I think I answered that before. Don't have Instagram. Hulk versus Stroll. Do we trust Lance? Glad someone got the Simpsons reference. Who were named Bort, like Bortoletto. Swap Gasly for Alonso, take a -10. Dang, that's tough. I don't usually. The thing is, like, these Alonso swaps, he could score like 15 to 20 points the way that Aston Martin's looking right now. It's hard. I'd say no, but it's a tough one with Alonso. All right, I'm gonna lock this in. I'm gonna prep the prep the tweet. Next week. My son is also named Bort. Lawson over Bortoletto? No. I'd go Bortoletto. $9232 subs. Can we get to 9250 by the end of the stream? Can we get 18 subs in 18 minutes? How's my FPL? It's not great. It's like 3 million in the world. 300 of you in the chat. 160 likes on the stream. We're doing great. What a banging Saturday. Great way to start my weekend. I will be honest. Great way to start a long weekend. But yeah, it's going well so far. Justine asked, Aston or Kick? I'll have to use wildcard to get in Aston. I'm really unsure about them at Monza. I wouldn't use a wildcard on Aston Martin. Would not be using a wildcard on just Aston Martin. I'll just stick with Kick for one more week. Is it going to be a rainy race? It is 20% chance of rain. All right, let's lock this in. Let's lock it in. Let's just check Twitter for any last minute news. Okay. Nothing out there, it seems like. Interesting. Oh, far out. I think I'm just gonna go it. Yeah, I'm just thinking about I'm just thinking about other options, but no, I'm pretty set on Aston Martin. It's going to be, watch it go belly up. Watch both Aston Martin drivers go out in Q1, and it's going to be all for nothing. But yeah, I think I'd be thinking very differently if I didn't have a wild card up my sleeve. But I'm happy to have a bit of adventure. Sainz or Bortoletto? Probably Sainz. I say that so liberally. It's tough. I'd say, can Sainz get 10 points? If you're confident he can, then go to Sainz. Otherwise, Bortoletto's a guaranteed $0.6 million rise. So we went from crazy to template. Insert who have a thought meme. Yeah, is this crazy? Is this template? I don't know. All right, locking in. 20 minutes out from the deadline. Actually, I'm going to throw the TV on in case no one else has locked in their team. I don't know. I'm not going to let anyone's... Like, Rain, I don't know if he's locked in his team. I've already made up my mind. I'm not going to let anyone influence me. Never usually do, but, you know. Oh, I suppose Rain was also going Aston without the wild card next week. All right, I'm just rambling at this point. I'm not answering anyone's questions. I'm just stalling because I'm hoping for late mail, but there isn't going to be any late mail. I'm going to lock this in now. Hang on. What am I looking for? 2x Norris. Yep, 2x Norris. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it, mate. I've got money to do the same team with Albon over Stroll. Should I? Same team with Albon over Stroll. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. The thing is, though, Albon's price rise threshold is much higher, I think. No, it's not. Or is it? So I'm just turning on the F1 TV pre-qualifying show. So Albon's threshold's 15. At that point, if you can afford Albon, I'd be going for Albon over Stroll. But I think I'd prefer to have the extra transfer. Like if it's using your third transfer, like versus rolling, I'd probably just roll if you can. Adam locked, Ewan locked, Terry locked. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to lock this in. You guys have seen enough. We've talked about this enough. Let's do it. My son is also name bored. Sorry. Stupid Simpsons references on Saturday. We're locked, ladies and gentlemen. We are locked. Time to post. Get this off. Who else is locked in? Anyone else still waiting for late mail? Sainz will rise in price if he gets 10 points. Whereas Bortoletto needs minus 15 or whatever it is. So like Bortoletto is guaranteed almost to rise. Whereas Sainz has to have a decent race, which I don't think is out of the equation entirely. But I think realistically speaking, the threshold for a price rise with Bortoletto is obviously much lower and I think much more attainable for someone like him, even if he's a driver likely to score less. Nice to see you, Nico. Thanks for coming through, brother. Who's locked in? Frederico's locked in. Why Do You Care's locked in. AM Success. 2X's on Lando. No autopilot for me. Zach just locked as well. Looks like 3 McLaren's the way to go with a variety of budget drivers. Yeah, I know Adams carried over Lawson from last week. I don't know if he actually... hang on, did I? I didn't, did I? Let's get that transfer. Let's get that screenshot uploaded. That's the 15-minute warning for quali. All right, teams locked, teams posted. 350 of you here. Sorry for being antisocial. Social. Would you swap out Hulk? I'm playing the Aston Martin upside, but I think Hulk's perfectly fine to own. He just keeps banging out. He just keeps banging out decent scores every week. Him and Alonso. Sainz or Bortoletto? That's probably the biggest question. Let's go, Ali. Let's go. Sainz or Bortoletto has probably been let me say probably one more time. One of the most interesting questions I've had in the last 20 minutes or so. I want Bortoletto because for me, he's going to be a hold for the next 2 to 3 races while I position my team for the 4A lineup. Most likely Baku. I don't think I'll be ready in time next week with my team value. But I think Sainz is perfectly fine as well. Should you use the autopilot chip? Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I won't be. I'm going to save it. I think the weather is not enough of a risk for me to be worried by that. 20% chance it lights out. Rains in the morning, but the track should hopefully dry out a little bit if there's no rain coming through that afternoon. So like to your point, Olivia, Harry, Fowen, all asking about autopilot. It's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to use it this week, I don't think. Did I do my transfers for Team 3? I did, didn't I? Yeah. Oh, I didn't put... I'm going to put the 2x on Lando in my Team 3. After all, what's the point of owning him if you're not going to 2x him, right? Yeah. Go on then. No, I'm gonna hedge. I'm gonna hedge. That's what I did before. All right. Who else has asked questions? We've got 15 minutes, just under. Still 270 of us here. Not bad. Locked and loaded. Let's go, Robert. Let's go. Nice. Chris is asking, with 127 budget, would you do 4A with Russell Ferrari? Yeah, I mean, I think if I could, I would very much be considering it, but I'm no closer to that at the moment. So yeah, I'm inclined to, let's put it this way, if I didn't have the wild card, I wouldn't hesitate, but I can wild card out of this into probably something similar to you in Monza. I really like the Russell Ferrari lineup. Just Ferrari around here haven't looked great. So that's my only concern about having them this week. Stroll over Hulkenberg? I think Stroll, on balance, the car looks better. His true pace was probably closer to 7th, 8th, 9th. 6th maybe. Single lap, of course. So yeah, I think Stroll's got much more upside. If Hulk's not been a great qualifier this year, it's not the easiest track to overtake at. I think Hulk will struggle to get the max rise. I think Stroll probably will as well. And look, a triple up on Aston Martin is not a risk-averse strategy, put it that way. So this is my team 3. I was just changing the 2x to Oscar on my team 3, but this is my team 1. So yeah, that's my team locked in. You guys have got the T on my team. What else have we got? Any final questions? Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it. Birthday week has been great. How is Piastri, Verstappen, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Alonso, McLaren, Aston Martin? Looks great. But Max will probably he'll be in the mix. I don't like his best chance this week is a podium, but I think he'll probably be around 4th, 5th. Oh yeah, MD, you answered my question. I didn't see your message. 10 minutes on the countdown timer. 9239 subs. If we can get to 9250, that would be really nice. This stream. And yeah, 270 of us hanging out. 303.5k viewers over the last 2 hours or so. So hopefully we get close to 4k. That'd be fun. Thanks, Ali. Thank you very much. Hopefully I feel better as well. I'm feeling better just talking to you guys. I've been coughing non-stop, so I do apologize, but it's been great to open up the vocal cords, you know? Wait, what's this? Haas going out on track? Oh, no. That's a... Sorry, I thought that was live. It's not live footage. Any chips viable this week? I think probably the autopilot, the most logical one. Olivia's locked in autopilot. Yeah, you're so right. Don't want to risk a Piastri masterclass. Alonso or Stroll? Alonso, for sure. What do you think about Mercedes and Russell? Jesus asks. I like that. Yeah. I like Mercedes and Russell. Worth going 3x McLaren, 3x Aston Martin for -10. It depends on the -10. Like if you're swapping Stroll in for -10 for someone like Hulk, no. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Probably not. I don't think I'd be taking -10 for Aston Martin. Depends what your previous team was, Luca. That's my only question. Keep Behrman or Hadjar? Gut feeling says Hadjar. That's not what I'm looking for. Gut feeling says Hadjar. The thing is, Hadjar will go down 0.6 this race most likely. He needs 12 for avoiding the 0.6 drop. So he's likely starting next week at 4.5. Behrman, on the other hand, has probably 2 weeks worth of price drops ahead of him after that DNF last race. So Hadjar, if I had to choose between Hadjar and Behrman. Thank you, Sim. Yeah, drop a like, guys, if it's not too much trouble. We're at 175, so it would be great to get to 200 by the end of the stream, and we're getting close to that 9250 stream milestone for total subs. You can see that little ticker on the right-hand side right above me for total sub count. So, yeah, always appreciate the new joiners to the community. You guys are pretty wonderful people. William is asking, what do you think of Alonso, Hulk, Behrman as the rest of the 3X McLaren team? Yeah, perfectly fine. The Behrman's the only gap, I'd say. I'd prefer Bortoleto or Lawson. I'd probably take, yeah, Bortoleto. I'm not sure if that requires a -10 though, William, but anyway. Thanks, Kaviri. Good to be back and have you back as well. A shot of milk and turmeric in the shoey, trust me. Oh, yeah. I definitely need to recuperate. Sorry, I had this. I'll put my team back up on screen. Yeah, 5 minutes to go. So, yeah, clearly a lot of people have locked in early. There's no late mail. Just got the broadcast over to my left. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much going on. Should I swap out Bortoleto or Hulk for Russell? Yeah. Depending, I mean, I assume it's not for a hit red across. I would definitely be bringing in Russell for Hulkenberg this week. If it's like at no cost. I mean, even still, I'd probably do it for -10. Assuming there's no other transfers you need to make. It's a good idea to keep Lawson instead of bringing in Bortoleto. Yeah, perfectly fine. They're both going to rise 0.6 most likely this week. I don't think Bortoleto is objectively better than Lawson. Thank you, Felix. Appreciate the love. It is a great place to be. The community is incredibly buoyant, energetic. I love this. Yeah, it's a great way to start my weekends. I hope it is for you guys as well. Alonso or Stroll? Alonso, Sim. I don't know if I answered that question. Peter Simcock is asking, Team 1, Piastri, Norris, Bortoleto, Lawson, Colapinto, McLaren, Sauber. Team 2, Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Bortoleto, Lawson, McLaren, Aston Martin. Those teams look great. Not sure there's too much to worry about this weekend. I'd recommend both of those teams for sure. Codus has asked, Piastri, Russell, Bortoleto, Sainz, Alonso, McLaren, Mercedes. I think that looks great. Loving the Sainz pick. What do you think of... I answered that one. I think I answered that one from Red Across. Giuseppe is asking, Piastri, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Alonso, Lawson, McLaren, Mercedes. What do you think? I think it looks great. Is it a good idea to keep... Yeah, I answered that. Lawson's fine. I have 108 and I need to build budget. Yeah, so I'd start with this weekend, Gabriel, Piastri, McLaren, Aston Martin, Bortoleto, Alonso as your baseline, and then populate the rest of your team based on what you can afford. I have a league and I'm second, want to go up in points. Patience, my friend, Augustin, patience. Saving no negative for Brazil. I use my no negative in Miami. The chips on the bottom left of what I've used. So I use no negative in Miami. I use Limitless in Monaco. And I'll likely be using Wildcard next week. Mazurus is thinking McLaren, Aston, Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Ocon, Bortoleto. Ocon's a spicy one. I haven't seen a lot of Ocon chat this weekend. I mean, Haas have kind of been non-existent, pretty anonymous. 5 minutes from... Not even 3 minutes. I've just got the F1 TV qualifying driver intro, if you guys have the broadcast on as well. So yeah, 3 minutes, get those teams locked in. Any chips? No chips this weekend. Second best constructor for me, points-wise, is Mercedes. Second best constructor for me to enable, say, a triple McLaren is Aston Martin. Also, I think... Oh, dear. I need to fix these overlays. Not very aligned. Why Stroll over Lawson? Because I like the Aston Martin upside and I used 3 transfers, so I'm not using one on Stroll for Lawson. I think Lawson's fine, though. Nabadeep's first season in F1 Fantasy. He's learnt a lot. Thank you very much. Hope you have a great second half. Thank you, mate. I appreciate you. Really, really nice comment. Really, really grateful for that. Tom joined late. Definitely out with McLaren Ferrari builds. I don't think they're bad. I just think Ferrari are probably not going to score. I'd be surprised if Ferrari score more than 30 or 40 points this weekend. I think Aston Martin probably score about 30 or 40 points too. It's just the Aston Martin enables the Norris edition, which is what I like, and the Norris 2X. Like, I thought about autopilot because Alonso was entertaining the idea. I'll throw the, hang on. These are my notes from before. Autopilot, why I like it. 2 McLaren drivers could win, likely fastest lap. Alonso might also have a driver of the day chance if he contends for a podium. I don't know if the driver of the day chance is that likely for Alonso. I may be being a little bit optimistic, but I still like the use of an autopilot chip. I will save mine for later in the season, though. All 3 of your teams have 3x McLaren. They better finish 1-2. They will, MD. I'm confident. I'd be surprised. Enjoy quali as well, Ali. We are 1 minute and 30 seconds out from the deadline, so get those teams locked in, ladies and gentlemen. JR Spliff 212, Oscar Nando, Hulk Gab, Lance McLaren for me. I released Kimi hoping he'd make some points for me last few races. You use Grid Rival. I think that looks great. Yeah, like the team. I don't know how Grid Rival scores. I know that it's like a contract-based system, but I played it 2 seasons ago. Never really got back into it. But I know I've met Ross, the CEO of Grid Rival. Very nice guy. I met him at Austin 2 years ago, actually. So, yeah. Patrick goes, Norris, Piastri, Alonso, Bortoleto, Lawson, McLaren, Aston Martin. Looks great. Big fan of that team, Patrick. Should I drop Berman and Ferrari for Aston and Russell? Yeah, why not? I think Berman's going to drop in value. I don't think Ferrari's going to score more than 40 points. So, look, I'd be surprised if they did, put it that way. I think they can definitely score 40 points. I just think they haven't shown anything to suggest they're going to be on it this weekend. Mazurus is locked in, went for more budget builder team. So yeah, that's my team locked in. Triple Aston, triple Sauber, triple Aston, triple McLaren. Then this is my team 2 with the Mercedes constructor, double McLaren, double Sauber. Team 3 is a bit more spicy, but I'm going Oscar instead of Lando on the 2X, just to play it safe a little bit. But yeah, should be a good weekend. 13 seconds on the countdown timer. Good luck, everyone. It's going to be a banger of a weekend. Get those likes in before you leave. It would be greatly appreciated. Great way to start the weekend, as I've reiterated. So yeah, on your way out, please throw a like to the channel's way. And that's the deadline. So yeah, that's it. Hope the stream helped as always. You know, I just like talking my thoughts through, speaking into the void, not necessarily always making sense, but hopefully make some sense to some of you guys. Always super helpful. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. It is 9 o'clock here in New York, so I'm going to get my weekend started. My long weekend for Labor Day started. But yeah, starting off on the right foot. So thank you for coming by, guys. Thank you, William. Appreciate you coming through. Olivia, glad I could help. Patrick, thank you for stopping by as always. And Sean, I'm actually, if I recall correctly from one of your comments in previous streams, you're in New York as well. I will be going to Failure next week to watch the Monza, like the Italian Grand Prix. So if anyone's in New York, I'll mention this on my videos throughout the week. If any of you watching live in New York, I'll be watching it at one of the F1 bars in the city next Sunday, the Grand Prix, with one of the members of the community, Raheem, who finished second in the F1 Fantasy Global League last year. So if there's anyone that wants to come through next Sunday, if you live in New York, let me know down in the comments of my next video or message me on Twitter, and yeah, it'd be great to see you. But yeah, everyone else, thank you for dropping through. Dr. Stupid, Mazuris, Carol, Jess, Miguel. Thank you, Miguel, MD. Thank you, guys. Yeah, just as I said, on your way out, drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. As I said, I'll be back with my team selection video probably Monday. Final thoughts for Monza. Thursday, as usual, with my F1 article out on Wednesday. So regularly scheduled programming, a bit of content every day of the week for you guys, and then likely doing another deadline stream before the Italian Grand Prix next Saturday around the same time. So yeah, I'll wrap things up for now, guys. It's been a great stream. Always appreciate you guys coming through, showing love to the channel, and the engagement generally is always really incredible. So you guys have an incredible rest of your weekend.